I talk a lot about humor because in my work dealing with bullying, I got to understand it much better. In school, I didn't learn a thing about humor. You can get a PhD in psychology and you don't learn a thing about humor, even though humor is so important for life. Everybody loves humor. You can't get enough of humor. Laughter is the best medicine, and you learn almost nothing about it in psychology. And chances are, if you do learn something about humor, it's probably wrong.
And it's a very
Now, you
strange
were
thing.
telling
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I was just going
what
to
the
add
kids
on
were,
there, Izzy, because
yes.
so people ask me, how did you get into stand up, right? And I wasn't professionally, I wasn't professionally inclined to a career in stand up for many years, but this innate need to be funny or to laugh or to break the ice or break the tension with laughter clearly has come from somewhere. And I think, as you just identified, for me, it's come from diffusing potentially uh, difficult situations, but potentially hurtful situations, because I would bottle up the feeling of hurt and rejection, and I would disguise it with comedy, with humor, with funny outbursts, because I didn't want to show my internal hurt, but I would use humor to break the tension. And just wanted to add that to what you were saying.
You would turn it from a negative situation to a positive one. Instead of getting hurt, you make a joke and everybody laughs. And when you make people laugh, they love you. And everybody has things about them that could be made fun of. There's
Hmm.
no such thing as a perfect human being. And even a person who is incredibly good looking, very smart, very talented, you can still find ways to make fun of them. Every human being could be made fun of. But if you have an obvious difference or imperfection, it's easier to make fun of you and more people will do it because they notice you. But
Mm.
even with you, you're talking about your childhood, your your peers were making fun of you, but they weren't trying to hurt you. They were trying to make jokes.
Yeah.
And they thought they'd get accepted if they make a joke. So they weren't really hurting you.
Yeah.
And the truth is you probably responded well. If you would have gotten very upset by it, they would have made even more fun of you and they wouldn't have liked you for it. But you
Interesting.
probably responded in a decent way. You accepted it without getting upset, so they liked you. But
Yeah.
had you gotten upset about it, they would have ended up not liking you and doing it seriously.
Right. That's a very interesting take, right? Because if you are going to run and complain and escalate it, I think you're right. Because in some ways, it wasn't always health. I mean, because I bottled up a lot of those things, and they came out later on in life as pent up frustration, pent up anger. But um, now, for if I look back and now, I think there's a lot of how you receive it as well, because um, you can make fun, as you said. Like when I did stand up, I couldn't look at physical traits or what they wore or what they looked like or who they were with on a date, but it came out with more what they said to a question, right? Or what they do with their choice in life. And I found that funny, right? And I would try to make funny observations or funny jokes on that. So I think what it is this idea of bullying now, which you talk about in the way it's being defined, in the way it's being attacked, in the way people are escalating everything that's happening under the name of bullying. What is it doing to a generation of children who are um, well, trying to be protected by this, at the same time clearly being hurt by it?
Um, For many years, I've been saying that today we're raising a generation of emotional marshmallows. We're raising children who can't handle any negative thing. Every negative thing is supposed to upset them. And that's why there are many leading psychologists that are very concerned about the fact that today young people are entering college and they need safe zones. They need trigger warnings. They get so upset by they get so offended by everything. They have the cancel culture because they're saying something that offends me. After the anti-bullying movement has been going on for 25 years already.
My
Since
God.
Columbine, it's just about 25 years. And schools have been trying to teach children not to be bullies, don't say anything that's mean to anybody. But they've perverted a slogan that used to help children. I don't know if you know this from India, but in the United States, there was a slogan that's been used for generations that says, Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
This slogan is the solution to becoming a victim of verbal bullying. It teaches you that if you get upset by words, they're going to keep on picking on you. But if you don't get upset by words, because words aren't like sticks and stones, if you hit me with sticks and stones, that's going to hurt me. But if you insult me, it's up to me if I get hurt. So when kids understand this, they can decide, oh, I'm not going to get upset by insults. And then they don't become a victim of verbal bullying. But ever since Columbine, kids have been taught sticks and stones may break my bones, but the words can scar me forever, or words can kill me. Kids are being taught that to be called an idiot should cause them more pain and damage than to have their arm broken. Now, Sophie, I don't know about you, but I would much rather be called an idiot or the worst insults in the world. An effing Jew. Please call me an effing Jew, but don't break my bone. But kids have been taught to be terribly sensitive. And now we have college students who get offended by everything and want people to be punished for offending them, or they don't want speakers coming to the university because their point of view is different from theirs.
So this has clearly been done to protect people, but it's backfired, right? And
Yes.
on what level has it backfired? Because I totally appreciate what you just said, right? Because um, I'm just thinking in my journey over the past 5 years of how I would use words as a stand-up comedian to make fun of people, and increasingly, what would happen is that the joke was laughed at that point in the room on the evening of the show. But increasingly, the next day, I would get complaints that you went a little too far.
Yeah.
You upset a lot of people. That interaction was borderline dangerous with that person because there's this one girl who called up after a show. She's like, "I want a public apology. I want you to apologize to the media because," and this is the same person who, while we were doing a crowd interaction, she was giving as good as she got, and that's how the
Yeah.
interaction
Yeah.
goes, right? And she was
Yeah.
laughing. Clearly the next day she had a change of heart and she wanted me to burn at the stake. Increasingly that's happening now, as you pointed out earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But why
I told you before that the profession that's been harmed the most by the anti-bullying philosophy is comedy.
But why are words? Because I really am interested in this right now. When you say comedy, stand up, songs, music, all of them have lyrics, right? Their lyrics are based in words, and the arrangement of those words create art. But if words aren't so important, then why are we? I mean, I'm
No,
baffled
I
because
didn't
we have.
say that words are the most important. Words are
Right.
very, very important.
Right. I didn't mean to say not important, but
Yeah.
when we have now technology which is generating words like AI and Chat GPT, and it's taking that power of the spoken word or the written word away from us in some way. I think important was the wrong word. Not important was the wrong word. But
Uh,
words are being weaponized, and I feel that, or the lack of being restricted, which is also a form of weaponizing words. You can't use certain words. They banned certain words, and I found that the biggest shock for me in 2020 when I took a break from stand up. I was like, I'm waking up in the morning feeling like I've done something criminal by making fun of someone. At least I was made to feel like that. And is that a byproduct of this entire campaign going too far?
yes, exactly. 30 years ago, you would not have gotten reactions like this where people complain about a joke you made. Uh, you're even saying that when you were making the joke during the show, the girl was laughing, she was enjoying it, but then she had some time to think, oh, but that's offensive, he couldn't have said it, and she complains about you, and this can get you, ruin your career. But it's because of all of this education that words can kill you, that people have become oversensitive. Now, there, I'm in the world of mental health, I am the number one advocate of freedom of speech.
Mhm.
Freedom of speech is actually the solution to bullying, and I can demonstrate it with you. But uh, today people think that freedom of speech is the cause of bullying. Because you're
Mm.
allowed to say things that can offend people, it's enabling bullying. But they don't understand it. They don't know how it works. Now, there are words that should be forbidden. Freedom of speech does not permit all speech. It only uh, permits speech that can hurt people's feelings, but it does not permit speech that can cause objective harm to people's bodies and property. Like, I can't go, if I'm in a movie theater, I'm not allowed to yell out falsely fire because it's going to make people stampede and trample each other and people can die. I'm not allowed to tell you, give me your lunch or I'm going to beat you up after school because that's a threat of violence.
Right.
A threat of violence is violence. So words that can cause real harm, or let's say I make lies up about you and I get you fired from your job, that is not covered by freedom of speech because I've hurt you objectively. You're now out of a job. I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to tell you that those people are evil and you should kill them because that's incitement to violence. Freedom of speech only permits words that can hurt people's feelings because it's up to me if my feelings are hurt by your words. It's not up to you. If you insult me and I get upset, I really upset myself. Should you be punished because I upset myself?
But someone would argue that the power of hurting was with the person who spoke those words. The intention was to make you feel. I'm just playing devil's advocate here because
Yeah.
when someone says something hurtful, of course, if it's a threat or if it's an indication to a group of people to using the words to attack someone, of course, I understand that. But
Yeah.
now it's gone to the extent that if you curse, you're a bad person, you're an aggressive person. If you use certain kind of language, if you use certain kinds of words which are censored, then you can, at the threat of being taken off stage or cancelled from programs. So while you say yes, I completely respect that. You when someone said something said to you, it's your ability to process that. You can either catalog it, you can dismiss it, you can react in whatever way, but that entirely is on you.
Yes.
But what is going on when you constantly are passing on the buck, when you aren't able to do what I just mentioned, where you're constantly running to someone, pointing the finger at someone, blaming someone else, and as a result there's no internal um, credibility, if that's the right word, or there's no internal responsibility for you over your own way of receiving inputs and being able
Yes.
to process it.
Right. And one of the things that the anti-bullying philosophy has done is that it's promoted blaming other people. In psychology, there's this idea of internal locus of control. And
Okay.
in psychology, we know that in order to be happy and successful in life, you have to have an internal locus of control, which means that you take responsibility for what goes on with you. The way you feel depends on you. The way you act depends on you. It's internal. My locus of control is in me. But the anti-bullying philosophy promotes an external locus of control. It's teaching people that if people are offending you, if they're bullying you, it is not because of you. It has nothing to do with you. It's only because of them. So people are giving the legitimacy of blaming other people for the way they feel, so they take no responsibility. This is not
Mhm.
emotionally healthy. It's destroying the emotional health of the current generation. And that's why they're so easily offended. And they go to college and they can't handle controversial ideas and they need to be protected from them. And they want people punished for saying things that they don't agree with. It's
So what
terrible what's
happens with
happening
this
today.
culture? Where does this lead to, right? Because you mentioned the marshmallow analogy. But what this clearly is more dangerous than um, kids running to their teachers, because the generation is now grown up and they're um,
Well, they're being taught to run to the teacher. The basis of the instructions of the anti bullying movement is if you're being bullied, you have to tell. You have to tell, even if you can handle it by yourself, you still have to tell the school because they have to know that you were bullied. So let's say you and I, Soapy, are kids in school, and you insult me. You called me an idiot.
Yeah.
Now I go and tell the teacher because you bullied me, and the teacher sends you to the principal's office. And the principal says to you, Soapy, why did you call Izzy an idiot? Are you going to say, oh, because I'm a bully and I enjoy hurting people? Or are you going to
Mm.
say, what are you talking about? I didn't say that to him. He started with me. He's making it up. Or he just can't handle a joke. I was just joking around. Are
Mm.
you going to accept that you're a bully, or are you going to try to blame me and defend yourself?
Of course, it's the latter. Yeah.
Yeah, every normal human being, when they're faced with getting in trouble, will defend themselves and blame their accuser. Are you going to like me better if I get you sent to the principal's office for bullying me?
No.
You're going to hate me.
Yeah.
And if you hate me, you're going to be meaner to me. Maybe you're going to want to beat me up even. You're going to tell all of your friends that I'm a snitch and they shouldn't talk to me. So
Mm.
this instruction, if you have to go and tell, in general, it makes the situation much worse.
Right. But
Now, if
again,
the
yeah.
school, if the, I have to say, if this, I'm not saying it always makes it worse, because sometimes the school does put a stop to it. They'll talk to the kids involved, and the problem is over. But if they don't solve the problem, it's going to be worse.